Thank you. A very good morning to my fellow delegates from the ambassador of Denmark and the scientific expert from Sweden and the industry expert from Omnissa. It's indeed an honor and privilege to be at this forum. And ObserveNow had organized the first Digital Bharat Summit a few years back. And I remember having been participated there. And so this time when they told me, and I've been following up the events that they've been doing in Lucknow and other places, it's always important to not only implement such projects and execute them, but also to ensure that the real beneficiaries of such initiatives are made aware of these projects. So such events, such programs, such summits, wherein they bring together all the stakeholders from across the country and now in fact globally, is very, very important in order to ensure that we are able to not only implement but also evangelize and let the whole world know with regard to benefits that have accrued with the implementation of Digital India projects. Digital India has been around for a long time, in the last 10 years. In fact, it has progressed by leaps and bounds. And today, especially after the G20 summit, the whole lexicon of digital public infrastructure, which was coined by India as part of our presidency last year in G20, and how digital public infrastructure can transform lives of people and can incubate businesses, has become the language the whole world is now talking of. The United Nations report on the Global Digital Compact mentions about it. It mentions how people can be empowered by ensuring financial inclusion, by providing access to services in the field of education, healthcare, agriculture, and ensure that the benefits of the global economy, the benefits of the digital economy reaches each one and everyone. India's digital transformation story has been documented for long, but just to recap, the way the digital identity project, which we call it as Aadhaar, was implemented, 1.4 billion people being given biometric digital lifelong permanent identities with which they could access multiple services. And the value of this is it's not that just the identities were given for once. Every day around 80 million authentications happen, which allows people to access financial services, which allows people to access rations, the National Food Security Act uses it. It allows people to access almost every service seamlessly without requiring any paper document or without requiring anyone else to certify who this person is. It's very empowering. The cost of KYC, the know your customer, because for opening any bank account or any kind of transactional account, you always have to prove who you are, and every institution, every regulator wants KYC norms to be followed. The cost of KYC was reduced from around 100 rupees, like it used to cost plus 100 rupees plus to do the KYC for any user for opening a bank account or any other service. That cost has come down to less than ₹1. So that's the power of which has led to massive expansion in transactions. And not only banking services, like the first impact of Aadhaar was on opening Jan Dhan, the no-frills bank accounts. And under that, 510 million bank accounts were opened, which ensured that people could get access to direct benefit transfers. All the benefits that were accruing to any person could be transferred directly into the bank accounts of people. And whether it's the pensions, whether it's scholarships, whether it's subsidies, or whether it's any other grant that anyone is supposed to get, would reach them without any leakage of any kind. And through this, we have been able to save the equivalent of almost $33 billion because just direct benefit transfer, the impact has been huge. In fact, during COVID-19, we were able to use it for ensuring that we were able to transfer money instantly into bank accounts of people when they were impacted because of lockdowns and because of loss of livelihoods. In fact, many countries, the countries in the West are, especially the United States and all, they transferred money, the COVID relief, through plastic cards and paper checks. Until date, they are not able to reconcile. But because of the tech platform that we had, we were able to do this. Now this whole thing, like the Aadhaar, the banking accounts, now it's the financial services. We are going ahead on the financial services ladder. Not only basic banking services, but also insurance, credit, microfinance is also being augmented so that people's ability to start livelihoods goes up. So that has been the impact of Aadhaar, and powered by, again, expansion of mobile phones in India. Like today we have almost 700 million smartphone users in India, more than 950 million internet users, and the average cost of accessing internet, mobile internet, is amongst the cheapest in the world. So this combination of, as our Prime Minister refers to it as Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile, the jam trinity, really transformed the way we could move up on the digital transformation journey. The other key initiative about which we all always talk about is of course, the UPI, the digital payments experience that we have in India. And again, it's a very seamless way of transferring money from one person to the other without going through the complex process of knowing bank account numbers, IFSC codes, SWIFT codes, and just scanning a QR code, I'm able to transfer even a low value fund to anyone without going through a complex, and it's instantaneous without any cost, and it's like idiot proof. Even street vendors, anyone can use it. And the power of it such is that we have almost 18 billion transactions per month, and total value of transactions annually exceeds 3 trillion US dollars. So this is huge, it's humongous. And anyone who comes from, like in G20, when people, delegates came across and we gave them like a demo of it, everybody was marveled. And today the whole world, a lot of countries across the world are looking at integrating it. 7 countries have already integrated UPI into their financial systems. And ultimately we hope that it becomes the uniform way of transacting money anywhere in the world. The other key initiative that's again transformed, like Aadhaar ensured faceless kinds of transactions with KYC being enabled, UPI ensured cashless transactions, and the other key project about which I would like to mention today is the DigiLocker project, which ensures paperless governance, wherein all documents that anyone has is available in a digital format and is able to be accessed through APIs and verified through APIs. So today we have almost 375 million users on DigiLocker with almost 8 billion documents available, which can be seamlessly digitally verified, authenticated. So anybody wants to verify whether anyone who is claiming to be a graduate of a particular university, academic certificates, it can be digitally verified. Driving licenses can be digitally verified. Income tax records, Aadhaar numbers, driving licenses, all of it can be digitally verified. And now it has become the part of the academic credential repository, the National Academic Depository, which is again transforming the way we work with. A very simple application which many one of you would have used is the DigiYatra application, which allows you to seamlessly access an airport and go do your journey without having to spend too much time in proving and showing your documents. It again prevents fraud. It ensures that verifiability is 100% ensured. And on top of this layer, we also are implementing several other projects in various sectors. So whether it's healthcare, e-Sanjeevani, which allows for telemedicine services, Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which is laying down the whole regime of electronic health records, which is ensuring that health services can be accessed easily. In education, we have a Diksha platform, which for K-12 online education is made possible, the Swayam platform for university education. In logistics, we have the Gati Shakti project, which ensures that logistics planning can be done seamlessly. So on top of the basic building blocks of India stack, we have built several sectoral services, which is again enabling better access to services. And now when we have built up the DPI stack, the next layer that we are trying to build is the artificial intelligence layer. And we are also implementing the India AI mission, under which all aspects with regard to artificial intelligence are being addressed, whether it's provisioning of compute, whether it's building foundational model, whether it's building a datasets platform, developing applications which can be deployed at population scale, providing support to startups, ensuring skilling so that we retain our skilling advantage globally, and also creating a framework for safe and trusted AI frameworks. So the whole 7 pillars approach to implementation of artificial intelligence is targeted to ensure that we kind of retain our leadership in the field of artificial intelligence. We are currently the chair of the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, wherein we are engaged with the global community, all the GPA members, the 44 member countries, in order to work towards evolving a global governance framework for building responsible AI solutions. In fact, next week, the GPA summit is happening in Serbia, and there also many of these issues will be deliberated upon. Other key aspect about building this whole Digital Bharat aspect is, of course, to ensure data protection at all cost. So very often we keep on thinking that the moment we are going digital, will there be issues of data loss, will there be issues of privacy, will there be issues of data protection? So in all our projects, we kind of adopt the approach of privacy by design, data security by design. It's not an afterthought, it's actually thought of at the design stage when we are architecting the projects for Digital India. And the India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act is also kind of a role model act which will ensure that not only we ensure prevention of any data loss or data or ensuring protection of data, but also kind of allow innovation to happen. So DPDP Act is a very progressive act to that extent. The other key aspect that we also focus on ensuring cybersecurity. Because whenever any project is implemented, cybersecurity is a big threat. We are at a geopolitical, our geopolitical location makes us vulnerable to many other, the attacks that we get from our neighborhood. And it becomes very, very important to build cybersecurity resilience in our systems and to ensure that we remain safe and secure. So the whole cybersecurity paradigm becomes the part of the Digital Bharat strategy. So the entire approach of India towards building, towards making India a digitally empowered country is targeted towards not only implementing projects, but also ensuring being aware of the risks which are there. And this, along with the approach to artificial intelligence, I'm sure will help us move faster in this direction. We are growing at a very fast pace already, and the digital transformation projects is going to contribute much more to this. Like it's already 20% of our gross value added, and in the days to come, in our march towards a Viksit Bharat, as we try to, in our quest towards becoming a developed country by 2047, digital transformation projects will play a very big role. So with this, I once again convey my thanks and gratitude to the ObserveNow group for organizing this, for bringing together all the stakeholders, and I hope the deliberations today will be very, very useful. I was looking forward to staying for a longer period, but unfortunately I've been asked to reach the parliament by 11 because there is a parliament question there today, so I will be leaving immediately after, but look forward to hearing from the team with regard to the deliberations and with regard to the thoughts expressed. So thank you once again.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Singh, for joining us today and sharing your inspiring thoughts for the digital India. And followed by this, may I please invite Ms. Shivani Babbar once again, who's the lead governance at ObserveNow, to please felicitate Sir as a token of appreciation for joining us today. Sir, it is so grateful of you to join us today. Though you have a parliamentary session, but you still manage time to join us today. Thank you very, very much, sir. Can we have a big round of applause, please? Thank you very much, sir, once again from Team ObserveNow to joining us today. Thank you very much, sir. Followed by this, it would be an absolute honor to have Dr. Freddy Svane, who's the ambassador of Denmark to India, with us today. I now please invite him to the stage, to the podium, to address the audience, please.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm, of course, extremely pleased to be part of this very important summit. In fact, that will be my last public participation because I'm flying out for good of India after 12 years in India. So I chose this summit because digitization is the biggest asset that India so far has produced, not only for its own people, but for the planet as such. A few words. The Honorable Additional Secretary spoke about all the good progress, whatever has been reached, whatever milestone has been reached through digitization for India, G20, the digital stack and all that. Yesterday in Denmark, everything broke down. Everything broke down. No mobile calls could be placed. We could not even place calls for emergency. The trains got totally paused. Nothing worked. It shows a little bit how dependent we have become on digital technologies and what the impact can be. Think about if India comes to a standstill. UPI will not work. Whatever you have developed, Digi Yatra, and by the way, sadly the additional secretary left, I've tried to become a member of the Digi Yatra. It's impossible because I don't have a Aadhaar card. So I hope that could be solved one way or another, not for me, but for others. But it shows that we are so vulnerable. And therefore, when we are really praising whatever has done on the digitization, we also have really to understand that we have to build up a kind of defense, also to do away with the big challenges that we are facing. I also, for other reasons, had a sub-inspector from the cyber crime department that came to the embassy yesterday. And what he told me about the challenges that we are all facing. We have, of course, we are issuing a lot of visas. And visa is like gold, it's like cash, not digital money, but cash. And how that is being also misused by culprits across the world. And it turned out that the servers were all in US. So it shows that you can sit somewhere in India, you can use servers in US, and you can do scams, trying to scam people to come to Denmark and take up a job. That's a bad side, the downside of digitization. But not to make you too unhappy on a Friday, I have to praise India for what India has done. As I said, I came in 2010. I saw the whole development towards Digital India. I've seen all these different systems being evolved. And they are all empowering people. Empowering people. And when I have crisscrossed your lovely nation, I've been to so many villages, really remotely. And I have seen how people, in the morning, waking up, they are using the digital tools. They're using UPI. They're using whatever is possible. And I don't dare thinking of what will happen in the next 5 years. Next 5 years. It's an incredible journey that you have embarked upon. And the good thing about India, and now my Swedish colleague will have to close his ears, you have focused on public good. What you are doing has to serve the people. In Europe, we have killed innovation. You can open your ears now. We have killed innovation through protection of personal data, the GDPR system, which makes it extremely difficult. On the other hand, you have the US system where you are commercializing everything. And today's oil, that's data. And if you are able to handle, process, aggregate data, you have the future right in your mobile or wherever it might be. So, India has set a standard. And the G20 summit last year, here with the Delhi Declaration, also on the digitization and now being taken forward in various groups, so important. Think about how we'll empower the rest of the world. The global south, as you call it out here, so really, really important. So it's also something that, which is good. Let me also just give you an example how we in the West, or at least in Denmark, how we think we are good at everything. We have a joint working group with METI on digitization. So just after the COVID, we had the first, was a virtual, but the first joint working group meeting. And on the Danish side, the person in charge from our ministry department responsible for digitization said to the Indian counterpart, we in Denmark, we have now really come very, very fast and forward. And we are the first one in the world that is now going to launch a digital driver's license. And the Indian partner kept quiet and said, are you sure? Yes, we have had a lot of companies and consultancies to looking into that we are really the first one. And then the Indian counterpart said, but we have DigiLocker here in India. And DigiLocker, and he explained to his Danish counterpart what that was about. And then he could show my driver's license, whatever and whatever. So it shows two things, that we need to have an even stronger global collaboration, no doubt about that. But India will also have to do even more in really marketing your digitization and the strive that you have really achieved here. So important. But there's no way around, and the other day I in fact met your Honorable Prime Minister in a farewell call, and we discussed what are the major kind of achievements in India throughout all my years here. And I said digitization, so important, because it has empowered a lot of people, and it will also empower the rest of the world. So we agreed that Viksit Bharat, in which digitization is so important, will one day turn into Viksit Dunya. And the best way, yeah, I think it deserves an applause, sir. You are alone here, come on. Digitization is perhaps the best, most powerful instrument tool that we'll have that will empower the rest of the world. Do away with climate changes, do away with corruption, do away with non-empowering people, cheating people, and so forth. And last example, you are going to have thousands of aircrafts in a couple of years, or 3, 4, 5 years. How do you secure that you have sufficient technicians that can maintain, service all these aircrafts? Digitization through AI will be the only way forward. There's no way around it. You will have a basic skilled person, and then with AI and digital instruments, you can skill up these people so they know what to do, and if they're wrong in what they're doing and not following the procedures and SOPs, they will be told really what to do and not to do. That's the way forward, my friends. You have to skill your millions of people, so don't become too digitalized. Think about the human factor. And if you do that, the digital stack will also be a very important part of human skilling, human development. Dhanyavad, thank you very much indeed, and thanks to all my friends here, and thanks to the organizers, and I hope you'll have a fantastic day. Like the additional secretary, I also have to run, so if you have the scarf or a kind of plaquette, let's do it fast and furiously. Dhanyavad, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Svane, for joining us today, and it was indeed a pleasure to listen to you about not just digital and Viksit India, but Viksit Dunya, as you said. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to invite Mr. Nikun Sharma, who's the General Manager at ObserveNow, to please come and felicitate sir for taking out time. Dr. Svane, can we please have you a little forward? For our day, now I please welcome Dr. Per-Arne Wikström, who's the Counsellor Innovation and Science at Embassy of Sweden, to share his thoughts for the digital India and his vision forward. So can we please have you here? Thank you very much, sir.
Master, so nice to be here and meet you again. I've been here a couple of times and met with you, and to me this is actually the most interesting conference organizer that I've met. I think it's always very interesting. I would like to talk about two different things here, and it's maybe to begin with these two things, I would like to use a quote and from Albert Einstein, and the quote is like this: "Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning." That's what I want to talk about. Of course, we have a long tradition. You listen to the Danish ambassador here, and the Swedish presence, together with the other Nordic countries, have been for a very long time in India, of course, and it's always been. I guess maybe I was thinking, why is Sweden and Denmark invited to this session? Well, maybe because we have a long tradition of reciprocality. We have always collaborated with India on an equal basis, on an equal foundation. And the things that I would like to talk about here today is it rests on that relationship. But if we go back to this quote, the Albert Einstein quote, learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow, and the important thing is not to stop questioning. I would say that I would like to discuss two things here, which is related to that when we talk about digital Bharat. One is, of course, this thing about not to stop questioning. And I would like to give you some input into how Sweden question AI and digitalization at the moment. Because we had, this week, we actually had just recently, was it Tuesday, an AI roadmap. And I would like to tell you a little about what this AI roadmap says. And then I would like to talk about learn from yesterday, because that is something that we also need to do. And we tend to forget, especially when we talk about AI. Okay, so let's look at the first questions. This recently published AI roadmap outlines several critical focus areas. One is that we need to work on a public sector transformation. Sweden and also Denmark and other Nordic countries have a multiple helix approach, and that means that we collaborate a lot between government, industry, academia, and civil society. And of course, when we produce AI-driven services, then we need to use this triple helix format to improve healthcare, education systems, general infrastructure management. And the idea here, when it comes to the public sector transformation, is to have shared AI infrastructural solutions. The second area that is proposed to be the foundation of the Swedish AI change program is AI for green and sustainable development. And here we're looking at energy optimization and to establish sustainable data centers. So that's another step forward, I would say. The third area where Sweden wants to develop in terms of AI is AI education for all. So it is suggested to launch a nationwide AI education scheme and to guarantee public access to AI tools. And here I remember in 1997, the Swedish government decided that everyone in Sweden that worked could get their a PC, a computer, and it was heavy subsidized to buy this, so it didn't cost you a lot of money. And the reason for it was that the government realized that we needed to start working with our laptops and computers to start use internet. And now we see the same thing with AI. So public access to AI tools will be the next step. Fourth, and finally, leadership in ethical AI. So it's suggested to development of a transparent AI system, so we know what's going on within it, and also work with a global governance perspective, working together with like-minded countries. And I would say here, Sweden and India could really work together to establish frameworks that support both innovation and privacy for people. Of course, the challenges here are also the opportunities. And I would say that the opportunity that is suggested if you read this new AI document is that it opens up for collaboration with other countries, and India being one of them. Okay, secondly, the thing that Einstein said about learning from yesterday. And this is something that I think that we really need to think about. Because at the moment, we have maybe forgotten what AI can do in terms of history. And maybe that's natural, I don't know. AI is this hyper-modern tool that we can use. And we can use it for dialogues. Everyone here would use ChatGPT, I would guess. But you can also learn from history. And if you look at AI today, it revolutionizes the possibilities to dig into and listen to history. And that's why I also like this digital Bharat, because that talks about history and identity. One tool within AI, within this area, is called knowledge graphs. I don't know how many of you have looked at that, but my background as a researcher, and when I learn about knowledge graphs, makes me stunned, and the ground starts to shake. Because what I realize is that if you look at history, or the way you looked at history before was that, say if you're a researcher, you would use a, what do you call it, rod? When you're fishing, and you throw it out like this, and you start to wheel in and see what you will find on it. And if you're lucky, you will get a fish. With AI, you would throw a whole net out. So it's a totally different way of working here. And what we can do is that we can connect today's questions, today's challenges with historical data, persons, years, events, objects, different things. And AI will help us to find patterns that we haven't seen before. And to me, this is extremely interesting. With AI today, we can uncover patterns and relationships across diverse data sets, also going back in time, because it's especially powerful when we look at historical data. And as we know, the kings of AI are the ones that own data, right? Data is at the core of it. And who owns data in India that is historical and in Sweden? It's the National Archives, and we haven't seen this yet. We haven't seen what will happen with the National Archives in our countries, but they need to step up, and we need to start using the historical material that is in these archives, because they will be available in a totally new way now. And that is extremely important for us when we want to create and move on with our own identities, with our own national identities. So it can be used for infrastructure planning, climate records, you can look at healthcare issues, you can even look at geopolitical questions using historical data. And it can also be linked to other countries. As I said, Sweden and India could collaborate within this area. So not only can it empower education and innovation, it can also link today's challenges with history. So with India's digital ambitions that we listened to today, and the Swedish AI roadmap, and a joint listening to history, we could create AI systems for the future, and maybe also unlock the powers of the archives, and together lead in AI ethics. Finally, AI can connect the past with today and the future in a whole new way now, and let us do this together. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Wikström, for those inspiring, valuable perspective of yours for the digital India. And as we actually proceed further for our next perspective on the digital India, may I please invite Mr. Umesh Goel, who's the pre-sales head India at Omnissa, to please share deeper nuances of his experience for the digital India. A very warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. So we heard how digital India initiatives have helped all citizens like us live our life better. We have everything on our fingertips today, whether it is accessing our bank account details or doing a transaction or looking into our identity, as very well mentioned by the other esteemed guests. Now, while this is all there on data, I want to touch upon another perspective of this digital mission which we are on, is security, right? Now, while we have everything available, easily accessible on our handheld devices, how do we make sure it is secure? Now, let me give you another perspective from the corporates, right? When an organization, whether it is a public sector unit organization or a private sector unit organization, they do provide access to their data, whether it is email, whether their applications on the mobile platforms, whether it is iOS, Android, or even if it is laptop on Mac, right? Now, the perspective which I want to touch upon is, while these corporates are able to provide access to this data on your handheld devices, the question is, how do I, as an organization, make sure that it is secure? Because if you look at from the perspective of the person who is holding this device and access to this data, there's an absolute convenience. And that's the convenience we have already been now experienced with so many digital initiatives we have seen in India. And trust me, today when an employee goes and asks for, joining at an organization, the first thing he would probably expect is a laptop minimum, right? And access to these emails on his phone. And if it doesn't, the company is never been given a good rating. You go to all these big portals on social media where they speak about how badly they are treated in their organizations if they have not been given access to just emails, or they've not been allowed to use their own devices to access content. Now, if in case the organizations stop thinking about security, a chaos will happen. You heard Mr. Freddy speaking about something happened and the digital world just stopped working, and hence the whole country come to standstill. And that is what the corporates are worried about. Now, if a corporate or an organization provides access to their data on those devices, they don't want to come to a stage of standstill. You have all heard of ransomware, right? And this is not something new. The organization have faced it. Some of them has exposed it in the public because they are legally binded to. Some of them have not. Even though they may have recovered to a state which they have backed up, the question of threat is still open. And hence, securing that data on those devices is the utmost priority of the security teams sitting in those corporates. Now, that's where people like us, who are building that data security platforms come very handy. Now, just to introduce, I'm sure we will have another session from one of my team member coming forward, where he will take us through the exact portfolio that we run, the kind of solutions that we provide. But I want to just mention one thing. Anything that you access on your handheld devices needs a protection. You have all heard about malicious codes where you will be popped up for downloading a quick APK on a message or a WhatsApp, telling that this is where you will get your reward. This is the identity KYC that you will get from your bank, because your bank account may get locked down tomorrow. These are all phishing attacks. You need a way to secure those things to pop up from your phones, pop up from your laptops, pop up from your browsers. And that's where we people come in. I would encourage all of you to go speak with us. We have a booth right outside this wall. And please listen to my colleague when he'll talk about what exactly the platform Omnissa delivers to all of you, and how we can collaborate further to make this conversation forward. But again, securing that access to data, securing access to those applications are important. Even though the applications are secure, making sure that the device uses that security and doesn't allow any kind of leakage is important. And that's where we come in very handy. I would look forward to talk to all of you all and understand how we can collaborate, partner, and help you to get or achieve that security which you all aspire for. With that, I would like to thank you all once again and put myself on rest. I know it was not a very long one, but just wanted to make sure that I address the security piece, very important in the whole digital world we are talking about. Thank you so much.